Today, I'd like to share with you 10 minutes of the future of education. Of course, only the future can know the future. So today, we will discuss a bit of trends and of features that could be coming in the future. So as you can see, the world is changing. We had a few excellent seminars, in my opinion. Everything is changing in terms of industries. But unfortunately, when you go and look at education, it has not had its share of innovation. And when I say it has not had its share of innovation, I mean it has not had its share of innovation globally. I am sure there is a lot of centers of excellence. There's a lot of good schools and districts. But globally, I will share with you some statistics. I think overall, the K-12 space needs a lot of innovation. So today, we will discuss some of those innovations. So there is no dispute about how important education is in terms of being an enabler for all of these different technologies that are spawning. And also, we need the right exposure at the right age. So usually when you go to university, you get exposed to all of these new technologies. But at school, still, my kid and I, roughly we go through the same experience. So there's plenty of statistics, but I'd like to give you statistics that really stand out. So about 20% of the globe don't even have access to any kind of education, let alone schools. The other 30%, or even more, they go to school in very big classrooms, roughly 1 to 50. So if you think of the current model is a teacher giving information or teaching. Roughly, most researchers agree that 1 to 15 to 1 to 20 is a magic number. So you get, a good experience, a good quality of teaching at these ratios. So 30% are not even close. So already you missed around 50% of the efficiency of the education system. 20% don't have access to education, 30% have access, but of low quality education. In fact, one of our employees was in a class of 50 students in a suburb. Also, if you look to the future, the amount of teachers that are leaving systems is not enough to go and teach the population. So you add these two facts, you realize the future of education, as per the status quo, is not very bright. Again, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of districts that do a very good job, but I'm talking about a global problem and an epidemic. So actually, this problem needs, what programmers say, it needs a hack. So how do you hack this problem? So point 5 is the most important point. And the only method to hack this problem is to bring systems, holistic systems, in place in schools. And I use systems and the word holistic because these systems should go and collect data across all of the experience that the student is having. Only then can you hack the system, and only then can you benefit from efficiencies within the system. I'll give you a few examples of that towards the end to make it more practical. But once this happens, once you have systems where students can go and experience a learning experience that does not have to be in a school, you have a plethora of solutions that come out. So actually, the space in school can be either used for teaching, or it can actually be used for mostly collaboration. You can come up with a lot of solutions, whether it's general or whether it's customized to a certain jurisdiction. Also, another example is, I find many cities where obesity is an issue. Yet, nevertheless, you go to the school systems and you don't find a very clear method of educating people and letting them, for example, exercise 2 hours a day within their core curricula. You might find a lot of extracurricular activities, but It is not within the core curriculum. And here I'm trying to give you a practical example. Everyone talks about it, but what I'm trying to say is that the systems do not help. And this is why you need holistic systems, whether it be collecting data, so that the education system and the learning exercise becomes very, very different. So actually to do that, to be able to do that, there is three things that need to happen in systems. Number one, you need to be able to generate all of this data. And this is a major challenge in school systems. Everyone is so sensitive about the data that collecting data from schools is an issue. Again, I'm saying that this is a global issue. There might be some centers of excellence or excellent schools, but overall, I have not seen a district that collects data throughout the life of a student in school. Why is that important? Because only after you get this layer of data, you can calibrate it and you can put a layer of artificial intelligence or systems where you can find efficiencies. Like in the previous presentation, they talked about big data and how cities are changing and how this is essential to bring in these changes. Same application here for education. You need this data and you need it in a framework so that you can go ahead and do on it all of these AI tools. So basically, once you have this in place, and I'll show you some samples here, once you have this in place, you can actually find insights that you have not seen before. So, for example, academic prediction. So although we have tests, and these are standardized tests in many different countries, but you can actually predict with almost 100% accuracy the performance of students if you collect enough sample points about their learning. And I keep using the word learning because teaching is very different. Learning in the learning system, the whole system plugs into the learning of a student, not the other way around. Also, if you collect all of this data, you would be able to see efficiencies or anomalies. So if you have, let's say, a population of 1,000 students that are doing extra well on a certain topic, this is an excellent mine of data and research, and you'll be able to pinpoint these. Unfortunately now, if you look at districts, it is very difficult to pinpoint these kind of excellent anomalies that happen. So I'll give you the last two slides. I'll give you just examples of what I'm saying, just not to be too abstract. So usually reports come in grades. This is a simple report about 3 students, and they have no grades at all, but it clearly says which topics in mathematics do these students do well. So just from a glimpse, by using big data and by using certain visualization techniques, you realize that some of these students are behind in the light green subjects. So now you can start a very beneficial discussion with the school or with the parent and say, they're not doing well in these topics, let's try to focus here. Let's take it a step further and say, you know what? This is only 3 students. Let me see what 1,000 students are doing. So every square here, every small square is actually an outcome. And every big square is actually a subject. So if you have a normal distribution, I try to stay away from curves, but if you have a normal distribution, most of these squares should be half green, half red, and maybe some in the yellow in the middle. So as you can see from this data, which is from around 1,000 students and taken only in a few classes, by the way, so a few hours, you can easily see that there is 2 very difficult concepts for this population. And by the way, if you go to different population, you might also find different trends, and this is usually the case. But with real time, without waiting till the end of the course and semester, you can actually come up with these statistically significant ideas. And actually, this does not necessarily mean that the students are not that great. Actually, you can use all of this information to go and look at the content, and maybe you can design newer experiences for the students. So I hope I gave you a quick glimpse about the future of education, but I would like to summarize. For education to be scaled up globally by reaching all of these individuals who do not have access to education, you need a holistic system and not the bits and pieces that we see in the market. There is a lot of effort in that respect, but still I think in terms of holistic systems, they are not there. And you need the school systems to actually accept the fact that this data that is collected from schools or from students is essential for moving the K-12 education space. Thank you for having me.